with Synergic Fit back. We are going over some general fitness, we'll say mobility practices. We're going to go on to upper to help fix a little bit of that shoulder roll and forward head tilt and correct. And we are here with our DJ,
desk jockey,
Taurean with
wellness training.
So essentially why we would want to get into a little bit more of this in terms of even maybe a warm-up before we get into our regular old boulder shoulder days is we want to actually help create some more space and posture up rather than try and compound the problem of that shoulder roll that we're already doing, and it's not actually helping to fix posture.
We're doing this, folks, to reverse the ill effects of injuries or pain or tightness, to prevent tightness and injuries and pain, specifically if we're talking like the AC joint, as this is connected into your biceps. And if you need growth, fasthetics is your goal, these are the exercises you're going to want to get into. The last thing you want to do is have programs that you've designed or you're using that are supposed to give you A, B, and C results, and you end up with a setback with an injury, and now you have to spend money on countless treatments to try to get better. So let's use these particular exercises from Synergy K Fit.
Alright, Synergic Fit back with Taurean with Wellness, our DJ for the day, or desk jockey. So we are working on a little bit of upper mobility today in order to create a little bit more space for that forward shoulder roll and that excessive head tilt forward. So what we are doing with this mobility is trying to create space to posture back up, so we will naturally have a little bit more of that straighter line happening. Anything to add, Taurean?
The biggest thing that we're hoping to get from this particular sequence is our timing is super important. You're going to use this prior to engaging with resistance training. An exercise that she's going to use as an example here is great for pulling back that posterior chain and getting it more relative or active to avoid injuries when you are creating overhead pressing or even pushing for that matter. This will help you design a better, healthier moving body in a variety of shapes and postures and positions. Relative to resistance is a fancy way of me saying not only when you're lifting weights, but in real life situations, if I am in a very expanded position or I'm in a very, I guess, forward flex position, the more I keep pushing into that posture and the more I'm presenting that said position, the more likeliness or the bigger the risk that I may eventually rip these muscles, tear these muscles, strain these particular segments of our body.
Yeah, if any of you have gotten a shoulder injury or torn a bicep, it's not fun.
Right, and it's directly related to the accumulation of what Carrie is talking about. So these exercises are imperative to reversing those ill effects or preventing them altogether and help you stay healthy, so that when you are introducing the forms of resistance training, or whether that resistance training is bodybuilding or if it's used for sports performance or even just everyday life of being more fit and feeling like you have more energy, exercises like this are imperative to reverse or prevent those problems from arising.
Okay, Synergic Fit here, continuing with our upper mobility for those that may have a little bit more tightness in the shoulders, the forward shoulder roll with the head lean, and we're trying to fix a little bit of that postural alignment so we get a little straighter up, because when we're sitting in that position all day, that just compounds the issue and really just doesn't get the posterior chain, so the back side of the body, to hold that up. So we are going to go into what is known as a dead bug floor slide. So it's essentially going to be a bit more of shoulder mobility as well as core engagement. But what I like about this one is it's patterning an overhead press motion. But what we're doing is we're actually earning that movement through rather than trying to go straight into an overhead press, and we tend to lean forward or back. So as Taurean is showing, if we're pushing forward rather than straight up, we end up with that. So this is going to help pattern it, so we're actually pressing our hands and the back of our palms into the ground, so we're going straight up and earning that movement. So dead bug floor slide is going to start on your back. If any of you have done a dead bug, this is very similar to a little beetle being on its back. So you are going to start with legs at 90-degree angle, and then your hands are going to go at 90-degree angles with palms facing up, so on the ground. relax your head, Taurean, into the ground so you're not overarching that neck in any funny ways. So we're gonna have hands flat onto the ground. And what we're gonna be doing is creating that motion of a press. So we're gonna be holding the legs up as you press up in that motion for a full extension at the top. Nice and slow and controlled. If you find the hands are coming up off the ground because you just can't earn that, you are very welcome to grab water bottles, or if you have light weights at home, you can definitely do that. But we're just trying to create essentially that movement and pattern it so that you have a little more success when you're going in for your overhead press. So you're gonna go all the way to the top, you're gonna come back down, and when you hit that 90 degrees, you can go back up. How's your core feeling?
It's on fire.
Okay. So we're gonna go for about 8 to 10 of these. And that's just gonna create a little bit more movement through the shoulder. You can see as he's going up, it's even creating a little bit more wing for the lats. So just working the back side of that body. How's this one feeling?
I'm working hard.
You're working hard. How are the shoulders feeling?
Like they're finally getting the space they need, specifically in my shoulder blades. And as you can see, folks, I'm quite tight, so this is a very useful exercise. I'm quite active, and I still have these issues. You can imagine how much more you'll elevate off the ground when you simply haven't been working on these things. So imperative to avoiding injuries, particularly around the shoulder, but also we could talk about injuries in the chest, in the lower back, in the neck, that more or less bleed our energy, bleed our focus, and make us apprehensive towards exercising as a whole. Wow, hip flexors and core, Batman.
All right, so we're gonna start with under arrest or a swimmer's hover, whichever you would like to call it. I find it more fun playing under arrest, but you know, it is what it is. So we're gonna start laying face down on the ground. We're gonna make sure that our forehead is on the ground so we are not creating an excessive amount of pressure on our neck as we do this. So we're gonna start with our hands behind our head as if we're under arrest. And what's going to happen as we keep our forehead on the ground, we are going to pinch our shoulder blades back in together, which will naturally create a lift in the elbows. From there, you are going to come out into a Y position, so think capital Y. And then you are slowly going to start by bringing the palms back. And as you're rotating, the palms are eventually going to flip up towards the sky. So we're creating some rotation in the shoulder. And as you're coming back nice and slow and controlled, you are eventually going to have the back of that hand placed on the low back or as high up as you can go. So some of us are gonna have a little bit more mobility here than others. So if you get to the back of your butt and that's as far up as it goes, that is also okay. From here, you are going to essentially try and press those elbows into the ground. So we're creating a little bit more space and rounding through the shoulders. So essentially what we did here, we're gonna reverse. So bringing the elbows back up, then you're gonna bring them out slowly to the side as we rotate the palms back, going into that Y position. And we are eventually going to end with our hands behind our head again. That is 1 repetition. So with this, as you can see, Taurean's going through this. You can see a little bit of shudders and shakes. How you feeling? You feeling tension there?
Very much so. This is a great exercise for someone like myself who's had countless shoulder injuries, shoulder problems directly related to what we were discussing. Mine is more from sports performance, not being well trained or well experienced or well versed with the variety of movements that I should have been using prior. So this is a real life experience or a real life situation where an exercise like this is very useful. I use these as well. So again, you don't want to end up like us, okay? You want to end up with some injuries where you have to battle back. We share these videos in hopes that you'll understand the importance of when to use these. You don't want to wait until it's too late. You have problems. You're using these videos or using these exercises accordingly now. you can prevent some pretty substantial stuff. I've separated both shoulders and had a lot of issues directly related to the shoulder girdle or the back of my shoulders, my neck, the front of my shoulders, and even my chest. I've injured those positions before, and it's directly related to these particular, I guess, limitations. So imperative we're using these. Hopefully you can tune into some of these exercises today. We're going to keep sharing more for these particular problems and a variety of other issues that can arise from the body, typically related to or happening because of our lifestyles. So stay tuned for those. Hope you enjoyed the video today.